Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of Get Modern Bitesize with me, Andy Jones, and Dean Ellaby. Today, Dean will introduce and demonstrate attack simulation training, which I know very little, if anything, about. So, over to you, Dean, to tell us all about it.
Thanks very much. Essentially, attack simulation training isn't normally something that I've been working with in the past. It's kind of a thing that works with Office 365, email exchange online, that kind of thing, and it's a way of training your users to not be fooled by a phishing attack in the future, if you know what I mean. So, it's essentially you train them. You send them an email that you know is safe because you've sent it, and it has little bits in the email that would, an expert's eyes, look like a phishing attack or a phishing attempt. Sorry, so you have like misspellings and links
Right.
that are obviously wrong, but to a normal user they might not realize. So it kind of puts those in, but it puts them in a way where you can highlight them and say this is in a training perspective. So once the user has accidentally or purposely clicked the link, it says, well, okay, you're human, never mind. This is what
Mm.
you should have spotted. So this word was misspelt, and this logo was the wrong color, and this link was a bit
Okay.
odd. So it really does give the user a chance to learn from their mistakes rather than just sending a letter from HR saying you were
Okay.
silly. It does actually try and train them, which I thought was
But
quite neat.
when do you think this? I guess this is something that a company might use and push out for a bit of training, I suppose. But are there any other applications of this, do you think? Or
No, almost certainly not. There's no other applications. It is just training. So it is a way of
yeah,
really just assessing, because a lot of organisations will tell users don't click links, never click links. Links are really bad, and then they send a load of links out for users to click genuinely to
yeah,
set up some stuff. So it's a
test
case
through,
of
yeah.
getting users to understand what is a bad link and what they should look out for. And as I say, expert users and even just slightly more advanced users are really getting used to spotting links that are bad, and it's really that's really what it's all about. Just getting users more familiar with what could be
Mm.
an unsafe thing to click, and that typically is emails that have a really a signature, almost a thing that makes it look like spam. And personally, I got an email from not an email, a text message from what was NHS no reply saying you've been selected for a COVID something, and
Right.
it looked really because it came from the same sender as NHS no reply, which is what we get in the UK when the NHS doctors or whatever text you, and
Yeah,
it was a phishing link. I looked at it and
yeah,
I clicked it, and as I clicked it, I thought, oh, that's not good, and quickly closed Safari.
yeah.
I've got mobile threat defense on my phone anyway, so
Right.
it's
Okay.
probably fine. But yeah, I was fooled by it because it came from the same
Mm.
number. But really annoying.
It's an easy
But
mistake, right?
it
Because
is.
we get people get so many emails and messages every day now that you just kind of naturally just go and click on stuff. But like you say, if you kind of in tune with it a little bit, then you're going to do the right checks, aren't you? You're
Yeah,
going to check on the link,
yeah.
actually the wording, the spelling, etc., and it becomes second nature.
Yeah, it's just picking up on those little things that make it look like it's a malicious
Yeah.
malicious email or a malicious thing, and so that's what it's about really. It's a case of you would run it as a training session, but you would not tell the users that it's going to happen. So you would just throw it out there, make it run for
Hmm.
all users on a particular day, and then see what happens. See how many users click the link. See how many
Yeah.
users are fooled further than the link. So once they get the bit where if it's credential harvesting, for instance, it'll show them a web form where they need to type in their username and password. And so, how many
Right.
users actually type in a username and password at that point? How many users are
Yeah.
fully compromised with that attack? And so
Right.
that's essentially what it tries to do, and then give you statistics on that, so you can analyze that information and understand how bad these your users were, or how good your
Right.
users
Yeah.
were. And there's even like, was there a really good user who reported the email as spam, and that kind of thing. So you can get
Right.
a really good feel for how your users would treat a real phishing email. And then, as I say,
So what?
when they do when they do click the link, they will be, rather than being forwarded to a malicious site, they would be forwarded
Mm,
to a training site which says, we've assigned you some training, please go through this within 7 or 30
good
days or
idea.
whatever.
Yeah.
And as I say, it's targeted training based on the exact type of email they were sent, with little highlights on the thing they should have spotted. So it is really
Mm.
quite cool.
Do you think companies might use that as a way of trying to make a decision on what software they might want to add or configure on their platforms?
Well, I know a few organisations that have asked for this kind of thing in the past, and we've, as our organisation, we've sent them to training,
Mm.
training companies who do have this kind of solution. And this, I didn't realise, was a part of Office 365 Defender. So
Okay.
Defender for Office 365 Plan 2. So you get a little bit of it with Plan One,
Oh,
which is
okay.
the one that is relatively cheap. You get it in Microsoft 365 Business Premium. So you
Right.
get the credential harvest version of these attack simulation trainings. But then you don't get the rest. So there's a load more types of
Right.
simulation that you can run that you get as Plan Two. But really, credential harvest is a good feel for how users are going to react to that type of threat. Um, so yeah, I wanted to.
Oh, your videos disappeared,
My
Dean.
video's disappeared, hasn't it? That's sad. Um, that's yeah. That would
Not,
be.
you're not been attacked, have you?
Uh, well, I did click a link. I did click a link I shouldn't have clicked
Well, you
actually
can.
earlier in the day. Yeah, I've got this new fangled camera, as you might see. It's making my face quite big, but it's I've not quite worked out the power timer. So how long was that? 7 minutes. That's not good, is it? Um, Anyway, hopefully we'll get through this nice and quick. I was going to say, I've got a quick demo I want to show you, so I'll just quickly flick to my desktop. This is actually a customer environment, so I will have to blur out some of the names. But as you can see, as we've got just at the top here, we are in security.microsoft.com, and we go down to attack simulation training, just down here. And then we've got, I've started creating a simulation, but essentially you go into here, you've got your dashboard. I've run a few in the past, as you can see, and we can click on launch a simulation, and that's where we get into our workflow, where we can choose um, what type of phishing attack are we going to try and launch here, and we're going to try and fool our users with and get them some training on. As I say, credential harvest you get with Plan 1, so we'll go for that for a start. So let's have a read through this then. So in this type of technique, the actor creates a message with a URL in it, and the user clicks it, and then they'll be asked for their credentials, and then they'll be harvested and then used in some type of further attack. So if we click on view details, it gives you more information about that. And step 1, the user opens the email. Step 2, the user clicks the link. And step 3, the user enters credentials. So these are the 3 steps that we're looking for, and these are, each of them, a step further forward in the attack chain, right? So that's a user opening the email is bad enough. Clicking the link, that could be really bad. Entering your credentials, yeah,
Yeah.
you've really been
You've told,
you've been
you've
compromised.
told your
So
nan at that
yeah,
point. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, that's it. So these are the 3 steps that we look for in this particular thing. So if we just click on next, and we'll do a credential harvest, it really goes into, let me just do, so credential harvest demo as a name. And so we've got a load of built-in, 56 built-in payloads that we can go through. Apologies for the zoom level on this, but that's not making any. Yeah, there you go. So it gives you the name, the payload name, and then it also goes through and tells you the click rate based on your existing deployments that you've got. This was a test I did earlier on, so that's 100% click rate. It was only sent to one user. It was me. Um, but it tells you the predicted compromise rate, and then the number of simulations you've launched with
Oh,
that
okay.
payload. So let's have a look at the predicted compromise rate and let's have a look at the predicted compromise rate and say, okay, so with American Express password reset, my my camera's gone again. Right, that's annoying. I wonder if I can change my camera. I think I probably can.
You've got a few on the go there,
I
haven't you?
have. I've got. Yeah, yeah. I do. Bear with. Now, how's that? Oh, look at that. There you go. Much more up close and personal. Well, less up close and personal actually, but more wide angle. There you go. Oh, look at that. There you go. Live editing. There we go. Right. So, as I say, so American Express password reset is the one at the top with a predicted compromise rate of 45. So, according to Microsoft, if users get an email that says American Express password reset, they are fairly likely to click it and go through and get compromised. So that's weird. I personally wouldn't have put that at the top. Payroll, work file sharing as an example. Tesco. I mean, Tesco's a UK company, so this is quite localized, isn't it? Really,
It is, yeah.
which is quite good. I personally like the two failed messages one here. So this is a way of linking with the idea of the fear of missing out, right? So a user doesn't like the idea that they're not going to get messages that were intended for them. So two failed messages is the one I quite like. And if you click on it, it tells you more about it. It tells you what type of simulation this will be. As you can see, it's got a little Office 365 word at the top. It'll be a system message that it will dynamically generate for this. And it essentially says our server has detected some errors delivering two messages to your inbox. There might be a synchronization delay, and then you click on view return messages. So this doesn't give you a lot of a clue that it's genuine. If I read this, I probably would think, yeah, this isn't genuine. But a normal user, a standard user who isn't really familiar with what normal messages, genuine messages look like, might click that,
Mhm.
and this would be a link, and take them to the next step, which essentially would be asking them for their credentials. So, yeah, let's take a look at
So
how
does it,
this works. Go ahead.
just quickly ask, so this is all related to Office functionality or what might come through in an email.
This is
Is it?
only email phishing simulation, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Is this quite new or?
I think so. Yeah, I've only come across it fairly recently. I mean, I'm sure it was there earlier on, but it wasn't so easy for you to find. I found it a few months ago and was working with a customer to really make use of it, and they
Right.
only had business premium, so they could only do the credential harvest, but they got quite a lot from it. Really, they did actually save a lot of money because they were going to go to an external company to do that anyway. So
Yep.
they've made quite a lot of use out of it, and I was actually on the Azure Thames Valley user group tonight, the webinar
Oh, yeah.
for that,
See that.
and yeah, the Alan, the speaker was talking about this exact thing. So I thought, yeah, I'll go through this in today's bite size, really, just to, because a lot of people might not have heard of it. I certainly hadn't. It's not really my area, but
Hmm.
it's I think it's cool. so so I want
I've
to
not
play with
seen
it.
it published anywhere or,
Yeah.
marketed. It's certainly.
Yeah. So I mean, it does. We'll dive deeper into it. We've got a lot of things we can do here. So, two field messages is the standard payload we're going to go for, and so I can send a test, and I think I might send a test rather than going through the whole workflow with this customer's environment. I might send a test, but essentially you add either all your users, or only include specific users, and this is where you would add in the users who you want to train. And what you can actually
Right.
do as well is on the next step, I wonder if it'll let me go. Yeah, it won't let me go. I want to add a user in, which is going to be me. There I am. And go to the next step, and we'll look at the training bit. So we can either assign the training based on what Microsoft thinks is a good set of training based on this content, or we can select training courses that we want ourselves, and then we can also do a due date for that training if we need to. So we can say it has to be done within 7 days, 15 days, or 30 days before it starts really, reminding them that they need to do this. And then you can go into launch and then review before you submit. Let's have a look. Click on launch. And so with the training, once the user has made a mistake, there is an email or a message that it sends them to. It's this page here. It says, hi, you were phished. Rather than stealing your credentials like a criminal, we've sent you to this educational page, and you can click on learn what you've missed, and it really does take them to a. It's not like just a you were silly. Here's what you should have clicked. It's a proper training video, like a proper
Right.
flow of you should have clicked this. This is why, and then it takes you to the next step. It's really really good. I quite like it.
What's useful about that? When I think back to some of the kind of maybe corporate training we might have seen, if you got to this scenario, it would probably just give you I don't know, a screenshot or a link to some other website that is totally unrelated to the company
Yeah.
that's produced.
Yes.
Whereas this obviously is, end to end. It's got workflow in it, proper workflow in it, and it's going to give you all the material to learn from, which is great.
Yeah, indeed. So I think it's genuinely an asset to an organization, and like I say, there you get it with premium. Sorry, not premium. You get it with business premium, but you get it with Office 365 Defender Plan 1, which comes in Microsoft 365 Enterprise E3. So it's that kind of level of cost we're talking about, 30 something quid a month per
Sure.
user. But then for the extra 12 or 13 pounds per user per month, you can go to the plan 2, which gets you all these additional you saw the extra workloads that I could have run. It gets you the additional ones there. So anyway, so let's go through and click on the payload and do a quick test. I'm going to send an email to me. That's good. Just send that test email, and I'll flip over to the to my end user environment, my VM essentially, and see what that looks like. While it does that, I'll just show you one of the other things I wanted to show you, because this is meant to be a quick video. So I'll create a payload, and rather than pick one of the pre-built ones, you can create your own, which I really enjoyed. So you can, for example, you can create an email that would do a credential harvest like we've just done, and give it a name, demo, and then we can configure the sender's name. So with all of the knowledge you've got about this environment, you could enter the name of Timmy, the HR director, right? And use that as the name, as the person you're sending it from. And then you could do him as the email address, and really create your own really personalized email. You can choose the exact URL that is being used as the thing, so you can think, would my users be fooled by Win.Ite? Maybe not. Would they be fooled by SharePoint EN? Maybe I'll use SharePoint EN. You can choose the theme, an expense document, for instance. You can choose the branding. Would it look like Facebook,
Okay,
Tesco?
so it's templated.
Yeah, you can build your own really, or you can even import your own. I didn't say that. You can import your own email. You can really try and ruin your user's day and then you can add your own text, and you essentially can create your own threat that you want to try and fool your users with, and I think that's really powerful. So I
Yeah.
quite like that. And then the other reason I wanted to show you this is if I just put some dummy text in here and choose next, it's got this indicators thing. This is where I was referring to. That's annoying. What I was referring to earlier on. Phishing link not set. Yeah, you actually need to specify the phishing link somewhere in the body of the email you're sending people. Otherwise, it's not really going to work. So this is where you can add essentially what the users should have spotted in your email. So you're meant to create this email not to actually trick users. You're meant to create it such that they could have been
Yeah.
tricked, but really there was an indicator there they could have looked for, and really, if they had, if they'd spent a bit more time reading the email or really known what to look for, then they would have been all right. And
Yeah.
that's what this is. So you can, is it the indicator that, for instance, here would be spelling or grammar irregularities. So where is the location of that? So in the body, for instance, I can select the text in the body that looks where is it? So I've forgotten dummy text. So I could say that was actually the bit that should have been spelt differently or should have been spelt correctly, and then I can click add, and then other indicators are things like pressurizing you to too good to be true offers, that kind of thing, sense of urgency, right? So click here quickly to avoid loss of access, that kind of thing. And you can choose the thing where they should have spotted that type of indicator, right? So for instance, this click here thing, isn't particularly urgent, but you can see what I mean. That's where you would be able to craft your own training material for the users to learn from, based on all of your own knowledge about the organization. It's your organization. And yeah, so
So
this is.
ideally, you would have a plan. It's kind of the training is about certain things you want your end users to learn from, and you'd build it around that
Mhm.
effectively.
And you can see
Yeah.
what it does. So when you hover over dummy text, this says this was silly because it's obviously incorrect plurals or grammar errors, that kind of thing. And then here there's a sense of urgency. So it really does allow you to build um, that training for your end users, and it's built in. It's not free. Obviously, you've got to pay for it, but it's built in to the license you've already got. So I really enjoyed that. I'm going to flick over to my other thing, just see if I've got an email. There you go. So we've got a random. I'd say this was a fairly random email sender. That's yeah. If I got that, I would realise it was spam fairly rapidly. But as you can see, there is a. I thought that would replace that with a system message,
Right.
but
Yeah.
no, it doesn't. It just says system message, and that's fine. It's not really a particularly fancy one. This is almost all users are going to think this is some kind of spam, but some people might click on that, and you can see it would send them to attemplate.com, which isn't really where we want them to go to. So that's essentially what it would look like for your end users, and they would have a chance of clicking that.
So if you were to click that now, you get the results on
No, I wouldn't.
through
I mean,
monitors or
if I click that, I'll go to this website, which essentially does nothing at all, because this hasn't got the training behind it, so it doesn't have an actual phishing attempt in it. It just has
right.
the link. So if I was to actually receive the proper phishing attempt, it would take me to a credential harvest website where it would try and trick me into adding, typing in my credentials, and then if I do that, it would forward me to a website which says, you've been silly, please complete this training. So it's good. I think it's a really valuable feature, to be honest.
Yeah, it's obviously a hidden gem.
Oh, I'm all the way down there. Look at that. That's gone wrong, hasn't it? I'm going to leave me just like that. Tell you what, let's do that. Let's do that.
No,
Oh
it's
no,
even
it's
worse.
yeah, isn't it? Uh, There you go.
It's a
There
camera
you go.
settings.
Yeah, I need to sort out the camera. I think that's the thing. Um, anyway, this is meant to be a quick video, so I don't want to
Yeah,
waste too much of your time. Um, but yeah, what do you
no,
think?
it's good.
I
No,
really like it.
yeah, I think it's good. I mean, maybe in our line of work, I could see that coming up. Could be a question, or could be you could kind of put that in front of a customer at some point.
Well, I think
Certainly the training and security. When you're talking about security, training is always on their mind, right? Because you can't just introduce a new security feature and just if it's impacting the end user, you can't just expect them to know exactly the ins and outs of it. So that kind of platform is going to be useful.
well, it's all interlinked, isn't it? So the device that the user's using will probably be a managed device, and if not, it's an unmanaged device that they're using their corporate identity on. They got our email on it, right? So they received the email somehow. So at some stage, it comes back to a device. We normally deal with device security, don't we? So it's all interlinked. Where the user receives the email, they click the link, they get sent to a dodgy site. At any point, mobile threat defense or defender for endpoint or something could intervene and save them from being hacked. But
Yeah.
this is all interlinked, where you send them some training, you get them more familiar with how to secure themselves and be responsible in their own self for their own security.
Mm.
And then you have to save them when they make the wrong decision, when they click that link they shouldn't have clicked. So it does all come round, and I think this is something that has probably been missing for a while. I will just say I think it is awful that we're in a situation in the world where users should be trained not to click links, because we
Yeah.
need them to
Yeah.
click links,
Totally.
right? So we need them to reset their password when they've been compromised. We need them to trust IT and trust
Yeah.
HR when they need to click a link to get something done. So what we should be in, the direction of travel shouldn't be train users not to click links. The direction of travel should be get users into a state where they can click a link safely, because the rest of the security in the environment protects them from being attacked. So defender for
Yeah.
endpoint on their on their device, cloud security protecting their web traffic, mobile threat defense on their mobile phone, wherever
Mm.
they can be attacked, protect them, because that's what we should. That's our responsibility as IT.
Yeah, it's a good point because IT should be enabling that to allow them to trust what they're
Yeah,
getting. Totally. I mean, I
yeah.
guess at the end of the day, highlighting the pitfalls of all this then feeds into your personal life as well. So you do learn from it from a personal
Yeah,
perspective.
indeed. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all interlinked, isn't it? Because a lot of users will reuse their passwords, because passwords are hard to think of and hard to
Yeah.
remember. So
Yeah.
getting users more familiar with password security, phishing emails, all that kind of thing, will
Mm.
prevent them from being scammed and phished in the future on their personal level, and then prevent the use of those credentials elsewhere. And because
Yeah.
users are people, and people are lazy,
Mm.
and thinking of unique things is really hard. So people are gonna reuse the same password or the same type of password. And the thing that we often forget is that the people attacking are also people. So attackers are also able to think as a human. So they will think, okay, well, this guy chose this password with a one at the end for this. Maybe he chose a two at the end for this, or maybe he did something else. But people can think as people.
Yeah.
It's probably not explaining it the right way, but the attackers are human too. So they
Of
can
course. Yeah.
think as the user does, and you don't need an AI to train to think about how that works. So it,
Yeah.
it really is a case of
Well, this is also interlinked then with the whole kind of push to passwordless
yes,
authentication, right?
yeah,
Which, yeah, selfish plug. If you want to learn a little bit more, there is a video that we've released, which about temporary access password or temporary access pass, I should say.
yeah,
Um, yeah. So and I think like that is another way of enabling, the systems to kind of allow people not to make those mistakes at the end of
Yes.
the day, or have to, scrabble around because they don't have their password, don't have their
Well,
device.
exactly that. If all they've got is this temporary access pass that they can only use once or only use for an hour, they're very unlikely to share it with anyone because it's going to be useless.
Yeah,
And this idea of PIN, Windows Hello for Business PIN, is useless outside of the device you've set it on. So you set it on your Windows device for work.
mm,
You can tell that to anyone you like. They can't use it. It's like your bank card. You can tell anyone the PIN number for your bank card if they're on the other side of the world. When they have
mm,
your bank card, that's the problem. That's when they can use that PIN. It's
yeah,
not the same as telling them the password for your bank, which is where the problem would come because they can use that password probably anywhere.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think security is
Cool.
it's a really interesting topic to keep hammering into and really understanding more about. And this feature, as I say, is I think it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun to
Yeah,
use. Obviously, not a bit of fun for the employees to receive, but it gives them a chance to test themselves, I guess.
yeah, yeah. I think it's good, mate. I think it's
Hmm.
good, useful.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's it from me. So thank you for listening in. Again, please like and subscribe if you have been watching. And anything else from you, Andy?
Just to mention, we've got the user group,
Of course.
first user
Yeah.
group
Yeah.
session
Very good.
coming up,
Very good. Yeah.
13th of April. We're on Twitter, or look on the blog post, which there'll be links to. And please come and join us. Be happy for you to come along.
Yeah.
Just one other thing I was going to mention. I'm thinking about doing. We've got our bite-sized series here, but I'm thinking about doing something called Intune Basics as well.
Okay.
Right. So I haven't spoken to you about it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I haven't.
it's a
Yeah.
kind of, even if it's like a 5-10 minute thing, says right, user groups, tags, whatever it's, scope tags or whatever it is, just kind of put a number, a little users, kind of tips and troubleshooting and all of that. I'm thinking of doing that, so I'm scoping out that as well at the moment.
Cool. That sounds good. Um, there's a lot we can do. I mean, we are hitting just over 32 minutes now, so we will probably close it in a sec. But we do have a guest coming on, hopefully in the next few sessions, which will cover more into passwordless authentication. So things like FIDO2, Authenticator, that kind of thing. And he's an expert in that field, so he'll be really valuable to give us the insight that we were missing during the temporary access pass stuff. No offense, Andy, but you obviously weren't the expert there, and neither was I. So,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, hopefully, Stephen will be able to give us more of a clue on that.
yeah, that sounds
But
good.
that'll come fairly soon.
Lovely.
Good, but that's it. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks very much.